Hey everyone, it's Andre, and in this video we're going to talk about should you get a pre-sale home inspection or a pre-listing inspection as it's sometimes called for your townhouse. We're going to talk about what is a pre-sale home inspection, the benefits of having one prior to coming onto the market or prior to selling your property, the disadvantages, and overall, is it really worth the money? So what is a pre-sale home inspection? A pre-sale home inspection or a pre-listing inspection as it's sometimes called, I'm probably going to go back and forth between the two for this video, is essentially when you as a seller pay to have a home inspector come through, look through your property and give you a report prior to putting your property onto the market, putting your townhouse onto the market or selling it. Home inspections usually take around 2 to 3 hours. It can cost anywhere from $350 to $500, maybe even $600, depending on your property, the size, what's being specifically inspected, and different things like that. The turnaround time for a home inspection report is anywhere between 1 to 3 business days, and that can depend. It can sometimes be a big booklet with a bunch of check marks and written notes, and essentially tells you about your property, whether everything is up to code and is working as it should be. There are a few benefits for you as a seller to have a pre-listing home inspection, but a lot of it factors into the age, the wear and tear of the property, and really your specific situation for what you're going to need it for. It allows potential buyers to view this prepaid home inspection and make the decision for themselves of whether or not they want to continue including a home inspection clause or condition in their offer come presentation day. And if they choose to remove it, then ultimately it gives you a better choice of offers as a seller, because if on the other hand you accepted their offer with a home inspection condition and they went and got the home inspection, they were notified of a problem during that conditional period and they decided to walk away from the property, then you as a seller are now at a disadvantage because you now have to come back to the market, and any other offer that was on the table, knowing that it was conditional home inspection, are going to start to wonder what's wrong with the property, and that could ultimately decrease the final sale price of your property. Whereas on the other hand, these buyers could have potentially viewed this prepaid home inspection, been notified ahead of time that a window or two needs to be replaced in the basement because it's letting cold air in or it's leaking or different things like that, remove their condition because they knew what the problem was, and ultimately accepted the offer for the initially agreed upon price. Having a pre-listing home inspection also prepares you for potential pressure points when it comes down to a negotiation. Now, being the 2021 real estate market, you might think the last 6 months it's all been firm offers over asking, no looking back on the buyer's end, but that's probably going to change. We're probably going to see home inspection conditions come back. They're very beneficial for the buyers. But 2 years ago, I remember we were in a contract, we ended up getting an accepted offer. We had a home inspection and we found that there was some serious mold in the attic. The sellers didn't know, and they had accepted another offer on a property because they wanted to sell theirs, and everything looked good until we found out that there was mold in the attic. So as a return, we came back at a discounted price of $20,000 upon what we initially agreed upon. We didn't end up getting $20,000 under, we ended up getting $10,000 below what we initially accepted on. But that was something that the seller wasn't prepared for. Whereas if they had a pre-listing inspection, they probably would have known there was mold in the attic. They could have remedied it, maybe for a cheaper cost than $10,000, maybe not, but ultimately they would have been aware of it. And when we came to negotiate on the price point, they would have either said no or just planned their strategy a little bit differently. And obviously, number 3, a pre-listing home inspection gives you the opportunity to fix problems ahead of time, so that if you know there's mold in the attic or there's something that could be very detrimental to your property, you have a chance to fix it before going into the market, because guaranteed, if it's found out during the conditional period, cooperating agent is going to try and get a much lower price, or they're going to try and negotiate much more than what it might sometimes cost to fix the problem, because it's just in their best benefit to do so. And if you as a seller have other pressure points that you have to move, or you have to go somewhere else, or you just really want to sell and get it done and over with, then they could potentially use that against you as leverage to get a lower price than just having a pre-listing home inspection and fixing the problems ahead of time so that the property is scot-free and good to go. But just as there are advantages to having a pre-listing home inspection, there are also disadvantages. Really, the biggest disadvantage when it comes to having a home inspection prior to selling your property comes down to disclosure. If you as a seller live in the home and everything's working as it should be, then you have nothing to hide when it comes to selling your property to another buyer. But if you have a pre-listing home inspection and a problem is found that really affects the legality of how a family might live in this property, if it's black mold, for example, then the property could be deemed uninhabitable. You need to disclose that then to your listing agent, who then has to disclose it to potential buyers, which could be detrimental to your final sale price. It does ultimately come down to the buyer on whether or not they want to have that home inspection condition in there or remove it. Obviously, in a situation where you need housing, it became favorable, as we're still seeing firm offers towards sellers, but it is ultimately up to the buyer whether or not they want to do that. not to you as a seller. It's written as standard right there in the agreement of purchase and sale. And disadvantage number 2 for having a pre-sale home inspection is that it's not always worth it, and you could oftentimes just save that $500. As an example, if your townhouse is 15 years old, or even if it's older but it's in great maintenance and there's almost no wear and tear, then a buyer might look at that and say, I don't really even care about having a home inspection because it looks like it's in great shape and I'm not even going to bother with it. So you just spent $500 for really nothing, and that could have been avoided. On the other hand, you can also not get the home inspection, and if you accept the conditional offer, they pay for it themselves, and again, you just save yourself $500. Overall, having a pre-listing home inspection on your townhouse is worth the money depending on your specific property and current market situation. If you have an older townhouse and you want to hold offers and you want to make sure you get the best possible offer on presentation date, it could be worth it to include that in the listing so that buyers know whether the home inspection has been done, everything's in good working order with the property, or if there isn't, they're notified of it ahead of time. But if you have a newer townhouse, then you could probably do without it. And before we sign off, make sure you subscribe and check out our weekly townhouse market update that's specific to the city of Barrie. I'm Andre from the Townhouse team, and we'll see you in the next one.